You know, this is one of the things where you look at it and just go with whatever. You're just supposed to go ahead and say everything's your fault. It's supposed to be like, I fear for my life at all times. You need to fear for that and everything else. Um, don't know. Just looking at it, just saying it all. I don't know. Had an incident today at work. I'm told anything, if anything else. And it's like I know these people, been around with them for a while. Doesn't matter. Been off and on with them. They're experts about getting out of everything. I mentioned it's exactly like they did back in the 80s, and it's a continuational pattern. And stuff like that. You know, people up in Carolina would have field day with it, or down in Carolina if you're going down the mountains. I mean, stuff that's so ridiculous. I mean, it just doesn't end. It really don't. And now they're just trying to make you go out there and constantly make you PTSD if you don't try and hold someone to it and everything else, and just trying. And it's like eventually the kid pranks are going to get over with it. It's like you can't prove that they don't have a battery pack. If they have a cochlear, they can hear you if you're talking to them. They just act like they don't. I mean, it's just getting so ridiculous. I would so love to just it's just getting too crazy anymore. I need to find a new way so I can go somewhere else. New thing to do, just to leave. I've got everything written up. And I don't know anymore. I don't know what to say. It's Colin Dawson. Wish I could be more blunt with it, but I think from now on, every single thing is want to speak to me, lawyer, in every way. I'm tired of the remote interrogations. A lot of stuff stopped tonight. I was told, did you know that this man was set to be one of the next presidents? It's like with what? With all of his human sacrificing of people and the fact that, he's a foreign national who managed to shoot himself high enough up in the atmosphere and land gracefully, destroyed buildings and property, claimed everything was racism because the United States was keeping him separate from his own people, made an international jailbreak. And if their rights for them meant something, then their rights for him meant something because they're unalienable. And basically, the structure of the government doesn't matter for anything. And it's like you're not part of the government, you're just in a civil war wanting to steal our civilities, our rights. And in a way, obviously, they said they weren't your family. And it's like, I have the right as chosen of the Pope to sleep with all the slaves and have kids with him. And then it's like, well, under that, let's look at it this way. When you're not the chosen of the Pope, you don't have the right to do that. So it's like, let's see here. Mr. Baby Suit, always on his knees trying to suck a lot so he can get with an old guy that can be president since he never will be. Beat his brains out on a telephone pole and ran into a brick wall and thought that he was Ram Man. And I'm going, people aren't this stupid. Then I look over and go, this guy is supposed to be president, 99 years old, and is something else and makes up his entire life story and everything. Is any president ever really part of our people and not just some yahoo from overseas that says, I look close enough like you, I'm Jewish or Native American? I mean, when they finally kill off the last ones of everybody, us or something else like that, seriously, what is left? Because all it is a bunch of schizophrenics that go with Christianity and say, but I look like you, so we're all related. I can do things and mimic you. We really don't look like each other. Fat and glasses don't mean shit. And trying to mimic and copycat somebody don't mean anything. That means you're someone who had battle sickness from the war in Carthage. It's one of the first and few mental diseases people look at over in Rome. And you're instantly put into Christianity because you want to mimic the people you were exterminating. That's where the term copycat comes from. But whatever. As I've been told, I'm finally no longer guilty of the wreck that happened in 2008. And that I've suffered enough and gone through enough manslaughter and other things with the local populace around here that it's a complete federalist system, other than the simple fact they come from Christianity. So they're a union with an illegal pastor, or else they have a round table with no one really in charge, so they're a confederacy. Both of these are convened in the USA and are considered the enemy of it. That's what it means out there, and you just don't speak USA, you speak French, and going, it's convened, these partisans are made part of France, and we welcome them how they are. It don't mean that. It's one of those words where it's like you speak French, really and truly, or else Mussolini French, and it's one of those where it's not really opposite, because, positive and negative go together, they're part of a battery. It's, you're really trying to kill us. There's another point that I had that's totally pointless, because I've been told that this one person, named John, will not let me go ever, because I'm guilty of espionage and redcoatisms, which is the same reason why we all know that he was a serial killer in Nashville of Orientals, because anyone who's not Japanese is really British Hong Kong, because there's no way they could have ever immigrated here. So, to all the dating sites that I've wasted $60,000 to $80,000 on just to try and have a wife that wasn't with the crazy here, that's lined their pockets. John, Dorothy, Chris, Frey, Okato, wannabe. Probably at this point half the different Native American wannabe nations that I know around here. Bean Station. Let's see here. McEagle. Fields and Settles. The Antique Cock Handle. And anybody else from like high school, and the majority of every single person in Dolly Parton's private security. As well as, and that's not a big titty joke, I'll use her name outright, so she'll have to actually expose any of her private law firm things or anything else with it. Mostly because they're all child molesters and still following me. And let's see here. Anybody that I've ever known by name, or else should have known by name, as they say, going, there's enough relief from Knoxville police, black, white, Cuban, or Asian, and all other races out there. Half the people that I should know, and they've all claimed to be related to me whenever I'm thin out in California. And people have done DNA tests to prove, and even if they move back to the East Coast. Any person who's a cop that's ever worked undercover as a stripper. Even every single person saying that I'm going to make you into a pansexual because I can raise anybody to be homosexual, and I know it's what your parents want. Even an elementary schooler or four that I'd like to name that just had access to a computer and going, it's just talking like mom and dad. And they give me 70 to 90% like White Pine Police because I've got their access codes. But then I changed my email address, and, also with Donald Duck, who is cooked and not a goose. Anyway, I've gone on long enough with this. But the essence of everything is lawyer nowadays. Lawyer. What's they all the military recruiting offices too? Because, even my second cousins have gotten in on it. Blackmailing the recruiters back when I was thin so that I would never have anything, and doing underage sex stuff with them so that then they could take pictures and send them around, and onks could always upload them to their satellites. They could hack with a FM AM computer or radio station that they weren't allowed to have, because they told you until 75 years, don't let them have it. But who cares about Nazis and stuff like that, and World War I. Colin Dawson over and out.